So we're here with Roo Reynolds from the BBC, and that's not the Better Business Community. Roo is the portfolio executive for social media, and I'm reading his card, and he'll hold it up. Yep. Whee! Remember, left is right and right is left.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Roo used to be part of IBM.
I did, until very recently.
So welcome, Roo.
It's nice to be here, thank you.
We are here with David Orban.
Hi.
He is the Chief Evangelist for Open Spime. Good afternoon. I'm here with Sammy, who is the founder, creative director, producer, CEO, and president of Peace City 3D. Welcome, Sammy.
It's nice to be here.
The longer term answer is that I look after social media for BBC Vision. BBC Vision being the bit of the BBC that makes television.
Oh, cool.
And I work in the what they call the multi-platform side of that. So looking at more than just TV, but also looking at the web, looking at potentially games, looking at certainly virtual worlds and social web stuff.
Tell us a little bit about Open Spime.
We are a startup taking care of tagging reality. We work on what we call the open Internet of Things to make sure that using our open source software layer, data that you acquire from smart sensor networks in the physical world can be properly authenticated, communicated, aggregated, and visualized on the web and in the 3D web, in the 3D internet.
And what do you guys are up to?
We've been excited about the 3D internet for the past 10 years. And basically what we did for the past 10 years is really studying in different business cases and entertainment cases, case studies, studying and working on very specific use cases for the 3D internet.
Okay, so I've been saying for the last few months that Second Life is in the trough, and has been for a while now. It crested probably around December 2006, early 2007, I would say. That was the crest when it was on the cover of Business Week in November 06. It was just cresting. It dipped quite sharply in sort of late 07, early 08. And I think Second Life is troughing away like a little trough monster. Virtual worlds more generally are further up. Certainly not yet in the plateau, but further up further up the curve out of the trough.
We pretend that the globe is a unitary entity with very little difference, and strip malls being the most representative characteristic of the landscape from Texas to Australia. It is often not true. And it is not only not true in the universality or lack of fast food, but it is also not true in the adoption curve of technologies. It wasn't true, 15 or 20 years ago when client-server computing was all the hype. And European corporations were slow in adopting it, and then they were glad that they didn't because it didn't scale, and the American corporations fast bulging up on these solutions couldn't scale. So in Asia, for example, the adoption of virtual worlds has never stopped. It's not that they stopped playing in the various internet cafes in Seoul. They didn't become empty all of a sudden, and the growth continued. In Europe, on the other hand, the adoption has never become as crazy, or the hype hasn't built to the heights that was in the US. Now, the reason why today it is important not to forget this difference is exactly for the reason where I started from. The world is global. Information does spread quickly. So a UK or German corporation doing something can be an example for an American corporation that burned itself or is hesitant to start. And that is the reason why conferences like these are fundamentally important, because they bring together people of different experience.
Well, I have a positive interpretation of the hype curve. And basically what we did is we tried to find similarities in other areas of nature and science. And we found this miracle of the female organism, the estrogen level. And we looked at the curve of the estrogen curve and the tissue growth that goes right after this peak, and it looks just like that hype cycle. So the interesting thing for us was to see what does that mean. You have a signal buildup that's very steep and has a steep curve, and then you have a slow building tissue growth. So for me, the hype cycle is a good thing. In fact, when you are at the low trough of the hype cycle, where everybody gets really worried that things didn't pan out the way they were supposed to, for me this is good news, because to me what it means is a successful conclusion of a signal cycle and the initiation of a connective tissue growth cycle. That's going to be not as fast as the hype cycle, as the signal cycle, but if you look into economics, in any other system, there's always a signal cycle and a growth cycle. So for me, right now, I'm very excited because we're at the bottom of the signal cycle.
Excellent.
Well, I did a pretty good panel just now.
Excellent.
I've moderated a panel on augmented reality, which was great because when you're moderating, you don't have to say anything interesting. You just ask questions, and I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of really interesting people on my panel, and
who was on the panel?
So we had Mark from Alcatel.
Mm-hmm.
We had Blair from Georgia Tech Institute. So those two together have collaborated. Yeah, they're a very good guy, and they've collaborated on doing sort of augmented Second Life stuff. So they've got a custom Second Life client, so you can have an augmented scene in the real world, which has got not just 3D models, but has actually got Second Life running live inside the real world. It's pretty cool. We had Eric Rice, aka Spin Martin, and he is a really interesting guy, very interested in games. So he very much took the sort of the games angle on augmented reality. And we had David Orban, who's a very interesting chap, and he develops a thing called Open Spime.
Cool, very cool. And we actually were talking with Roo Reynolds earlier. I understand you were on a panel with him.
Yes, the augmented reality panel, which actually at least a dozen people walking up after we were done to our podium said was the best that they have attended up to now in the show. We were very proud.
The most exciting part for me personally was to see the people that we've been working with in the past 10 years. Some of them newer alliances, some of them alliances from way back in the day, to see them being rewarded for their effort.
I guess for the IBMers, if this is going out internally,
yep.
I'd like to say hello to everyone. I'd
Cool.
like to say hello, and I'm missing you, and I'm having a lot of fun. But it's very hard leaving IBM, as anyone who's left IBM will tell you.